All right. So, okay. So, next. Roots, when white people reconnect. This is coming from Justin Timberlake.
Yes, Justin Timberlake is marketing his new album as a return to his roots, which really means that the visuals look like a Kmart ad for outerwear and the music sounds the same.
Because the music really does have... Okay, so he released just one song, so we'll see what the rest of the album holds, but that dude's song sounds like a regular-ass Justin Timberlake song.
Granted, okay, so because it is the first single, a lot of times singers like to put out songs that they know will be radio friendly.
Right.
Sure.
So maybe this is his radio friendly back to his root song.
But I can't imagine how country are we gonna get? Because that's basically what
my thing is we're not getting country because your producers are still Timberland and
that's what I'm saying.
He ain't going to country.
Because that's the thing for you. Because basically the way he sold it, when I saw the like footage, I was like, oh, this looks country as hell. Like it looks like he's hanging. So I was like, okay, like if that's what you want to do, if you want to do a country, but like you're clearly not.
You know how country he's gonna get? Kesha, Timber, and Pitbull. That's as country as he's gonna get.
Mr. Worldwide.
Well, my thing is like with Justin Timberlake, like he's been someone who's kind of gotten away with his usage of black music or whatever, but because he's been good at it. Like the music
it's not
that
egregious.
He releases, the music that he releases is good and it's been generally accepted over the years. So why the marketing tactic of going back to your roots and being more personal when, if I remember correctly, Cry Me a River was a personal ass song.
Yeah, but if it's the
right. You did mad Britney Spears shit. You said mad shit. This is not your first.
No, but it's just the industry thing because like Beyonce came out with her album and that was so personal. Mm-hmm. So now everyone feels like they have to do a personal album, and even if they don't feel like they have to do a personal album, the record labels or whoever's in charge, they feel like they need to sell a personal album.
Yeah, more
because
more.
That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants like the deep, introspective, whatever. And it's like, bruh, I don't care. Just like make some pop music, man.
Yeah. And it's just interesting.
It's like for some artists, it's like, okay, that makes sense. But like JT, I'm like, you're good, man. Like,
and also like,
now that you noticed that trend, now that you mentioned it, now I'm noticing it. Beyonce, Lady Gaga,
Jay-Z.
Even Eminem's new album is very introspective in a lot of ways. Like he has like.
Yeah.
I feel like Eminem is always introspective though. No?
Yeah, Kim. I mean,
yes, but when it's different,
talking about killing his baby moms for years. That's pretty personal. But no, there are different levels to it. What I think is interesting though, not just speaking to Justin Timberlake, but you know, when you have Justin Bieber's and Miley Cyrus's, you know what I mean, and people like that coming in and out whenever they feel like it. You know,
I was so mad with the Miley Cyrus stuff. I'm still mad.
I was mad because I called it.
No, I was. Yeah, we all did.
Everybody like knew it was gonna happen.
We all did.
I just didn't expect it to happen so soon.
Of course.
Like she literally was black for a year.
How long could she have stayed black?
She like pulled her black card.
Well, the thing was but it wasn't like no. But see, the thing with her, it wasn't like Chai. It was like this bitch was like Coffee Black, like in there with like rappers doing all this stuff. All of a sudden,
J's on my feet.
Having fucking black women dancing behind her with their big
like
booties.
and that was my thing. I was like, this is way too much, way too fast. Like you cannot say you're not. And then when people called her out, like, oh well, this is who I am, this is whatever. Is it?
She was claiming it hard.
It didn't last long, did it?
Yeah.
My thing is like with her, she took that like Good Girl Gone Bad super extreme, because if you look at her history, she was the Disney princess, right? Hannah Montana. Then she came out with an album. I can't remember the name, but the single was Untamed or whatever, where she was like, I can't be tamed. The album was called Untamed? No, Can't be tamed. I can't be tamed. So that album, you know, was supposed to be her I'm showing my belly and dancing sexy thing. It didn't sell well. It was too close to her Disney years. So then she disappears for 2 years and then comes back and is
black as fuck.
But some of the songs I did like. That's fine. Of the songs I did like.
I'm not judging you for liking them. I don't like shit like that, even when it's coming from my own people. Like that's not a Miley thing. That's just like a Julissa doesn't like that music shit. But
and the other thing was like, so Bieber, because like Miley, like that's already like we already know that's trash.
And he found Jesus. Not only did he become unblack, he found Jesus.
Some hip hop pastor gave him a fucking bath in the thing.
What's funniest about that is that there's pictures of him and his so-called like pastor like walking like arm in arm, and it's like, are you just gay? Like, are you just sucking your preacher's dick off?
America, you heard it here first.
Honestly, like who knows?
That's shots fired, son.
No, but you never know. You never know.
Come through, Bieber, 17
Right. Come on 172nd Street. Find me in the Bronx.
Yeah,
But honestly, it's so interesting to me because then it's like people of color who do indulge them are always protecting them. Like, so what? Like, so what? You don't say nothing, whatever. I was in a very long-winded conversation about Iggy Azalea versus Cardi B. I mentioned this before, but it came up again. And it was the idea that, like, we only support Cardi B so hard. Cardi B is whack, is the contestant. She's not a good rapper, right? She's whack, and the only reason we go so hard for her is because she's this Dominican girl. She's from the Bronx, and we're out here rooting for her. However, Iggy Azalea is just as whack, but we're not going hard for her because she's a white Australian.
Because she's offensive.
Well,
and you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna fucking root for the fucking Dominican girl from the Bronx because she's doing out here what we all want to do, you know? She's out here, she started out as a stripper, got popular on Instagram, turned that into a fucking $100,000 TV show contract, and then said, you know what, fuck the TV show, I'm gonna go with my producer boyfriend and make some poppin' ass music. And now she's creating history. So her raps can be whack, but she's doing shit that we all out here as artists in the Bronx want to do.
Well, also her raps are actually pretty solid. I mean, they're not incredible, but they're solid.
Yeah, and
They're
it's
fun.
They're
like,
solid
I know,
to good, and they're fun.
She's
Like,
so
I feel
fun.
like with her, like sometimes the delivery could be blah blah blah, but like the reality is she always has that like hype newcomer.
See, my thing with
hardness of
Iggy,
it.
like I was fine with Iggy for a while because her songs came out, they were catchy. She had her moments, she had bars here and there, whatever. What got me about Iggy was when I started seeing live shows where all of a sudden she looked real bad. Her accent wasn't right. She couldn't keep up with her own lyrics. Like in live shows, she really, and it was at that moment where I was like, okay, you are, because like, you know, at first when someone like that comes out, you're kind of like, all right, you're a fraud, but you give them the benefit of a doubt and you wait. But once I saw videos of this girl performing live and looking like a mess in front of paying customers, I was like, all right, this is where we have a problem. This is where this is
You
not
know,
okay.
Mariah
Also-
Carey, you haven't
yeah.
done enough to be able to pull that shit, bitch.
I also think
I need
that
tea.
if she had
Where's my tea?
if Iggy Azalea had just like sat her ass down and just been the person to be like, yes, I understand that hip hop is black music and I am doing black music. If she had just admitted that one tiny
Right.
fact, I don't think that her downfall would have been so harsh. But she still to this day hasn't.
Talking about slave masters, and then when Azealia Banks, which I don't give a fuck what your opinion about Azealia is, when she called her out about that, she was right in calling her out about
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And you know, and so those moments come, and we're willing to drag Azealia through the mud for things that she says, and some of the shit she says is fucked. We've gone through this before, but like you have this white woman, and then this black man help, like, you know, almost borderline cooning himself out. You know what I mean? To make sure this woman succeeds, and you know. To tell you the truth, people like Cardi B don't have people who will do anything close to cooning themselves out to make sure she's successful. And like,
The thing
you
is
know?
most people are going to try and destroy her. Most people
Right.
are going to try to use her as much as they can now and then throw her away.
And most
when
people
she's
try
not.
to say, "Oh, she was a stripper. She probably slept with this person and that person to get
So?
whatever." And
That's
and
not your
I was gonna say-
business.
and I was gonna say, and for me, the answer is first of all, so what? If that's what she felt she
Good for
wanted
her.
to do, then as long as it wasn't something that wasn't consented and wasn't like, you know, Harvey Weinstein. If she did something like that, she wanted to do that, great. If she ain't do none of that, and she was just shaking her ass on a pole because that's what she was good at and that's what she wanted to do at that moment, great. You know, she's not the best female rapper around, but we don't have many. We don't have many anymore, and like she's just the beginning of helping to create more. You know, and so like
The thing is,
fuck that.
the Latin community hasn't had a rapper since like what, Big Pun? Because like we
I
have
mean,
Fat
Terror
Joe.
Squad. We talk about Terror Squad,
yeah,
like in
Fat
general,
Joe.
right? Like Terror Squad, and then
Yeah,
you
but
have,
like no one cares about Fat
But like
Joe.
we've had J-Lo for years, and J-Lo's no longer. Like,
But she wasn't a
I
rapper.
love J-Lo,
but she wasn't a
But
rapper.
I'm talking about rapper wise.
she
Yeah.
wasn't- Yeah.
Like Pun had balls.
We have Princess Nokia now. We have
And I think Princess Nokia is still, she's not going to get that commercial fame only because she doesn't want it. She doesn't want it. Like,
Well, the thing is, I'm like, all right, so I will bring this point out. Shout out to Adiza because she wants to be on this show, and I beat you to it. No, I'm kidding. I'm just playing, girl. I'm just playing. No, but she had a very eloquent point. So my thing with Cardi B is the kind of moment of clarity that I had was I wasn't on the bandwagon at first. I was kind of tight. I was like, what is this song? This is ridiculous. But I'm not gonna lie, that shit comes in the car now, and like I get real with myself.
Bitch, you can't
It's
fuck
the way
with
she
me.
says it. It's like
What?
when she says bitch, it's like she smack
Smack
you in the face.
Fuck out of here.
But all right,
He's expensive.
Damn,
These
all right.
is red bottoms. These is bloody shoes. What you know about
America, I'm worried for myself. They're getting
that? Getting aggressive.
there's
out
gang
here.
signs, there's stuff's going on. I'm very
Fuck.
confused. No, I'm kidding.
Fuck
All
outta
right.
here.
And like if you watch her other stuff like Blood Bars, she goes so hard. Like and like she says shit that like we say shit in our kikis. Like in that Blood Bars video, she says I'm a freak. I can see his dick through his night tux. Yes, I can see your dick through your night tux. I'm always looking at your dick when you're wearing sweats.
Right.
Like-
right.
But yeah, no, it's okay. It's good. Nah, you're good. Hey man, it's your show. I'm just a guest. So she basically, so when she was number one on the charts, right, it became this big controversy because everyone was like, oh, well, the last female hip hop artist to do that was Lauryn Hill. And like, of course, Lauryn Hill
And she
has
know
this.
Lauryn Hill.
Exactly. Like, how dare you? Like, Lauryn Hill had this and this and that. And to be honest, when I first heard it, I was like, oh yeah, but like Lauryn Hill, because of course you have that reverence for her. But Adiza, again, she put on Facebook, she was like, listen, I can love Lauryn Hill and I can love Cardi B because women are allowed to have, like, we're allowed to have shades. I'm
Right.
allowed to be a super woke, intelligent person and listen to Lauryn Hill, but I can also get trap as fuck and go to town.
That wisdom.
That's the thing. Like, she dropped it down. And she has a blog. I don't know what it's called, but like,
Vino and Grievances. Go check it out.
Boom.
Vino and Grievances.
I'm doing work for you anyway. But no, and you know, I hadn't heard that argument. I heard a lot of people talking about bars, talking about this, talking that. But when she put it in that light, I was like, yeah, you know what? You can't be mad at the girl.
Yeah.
Like, she's doing her thing, and that's her experience, and that's her whatever. Like, let it go.
Right. And even though she could be as whack and as ratchet as whatever you can put out there, but she is ours.
But you know how many whack male rappers we have? Like, come on now.
Don't even get me, because once you bring the conversation into male versus female, like, that's a whole other fucking world that
Like,
really
at least I
pisses
can
me
understand what the
off.
fuck is coming
She's
out of her mouth.
saying-
At least she, like, I can hear her.
Like, literally, like, that's some of them. And you know what? And I fuck with some of that shit too. But that's my point, is like, we are allowed to have quote unquote people who suck on our side, but she is from the community. She's been on the block. She's been doing all these things. She's not out here coming forward trying to make songs about it, and she's never lived it. And so the fact that she survived all the bullshit that I know she comes from, I feel a little more, yes, I don't care. Yes, she is better than Iggy Azalea to me. She absolutely is.
Yes.
Yes, she absolutely is. And you know what? Make Cardi B white, and Bodak Yellow is better than most songs that I've heard from Iggy Azalea that I, Julissa, as a person, like personally. I don't like Fancy more than I like Bodak Yellow, because Fancy's too poppy for me, and Julissa does not like pop music. Period.
What else? What else did Julissa not like?
A lot of
Stay
shit.
tuned, America.
But anyway, anyway, that was a sidetrack. But the truth of the matter is that we accept mediocre from white people and get all excited. And the minute we have mediocre on our side, it's we gotta question their presence.
That was like the realest. That was the realest
validity.
statement ever.
You know,
We
like,
accept mediocrity from white people. Like, damn, like, yeah, we do. No, we do.
We
100%.
do.
No,
And
you're.
we want to accept it for our own
You're
people because we have
100%
high
right.
standards. But she's ours, and she's out here breaking records. So fuck you. Like, if you think Iggy Azalea is better, go pay to watch her whack ass. Fuck you.
We're not talking about anyone specific or anything.
Fuck you.
Sorry, side note, you know, America's like, what the fuck are they talking about? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, it's a conversation I've had, and more than once, and I've just about had it. I one time in the street, and I've said this in the podcast before.
The streets.
I got stopped by a man who was like, "Oh, supporting her is like supporting Donald Trump." Her meaning Cardi B.
That's
And I
a
was like, that's ridiculous. So I
stretch.
feel like everybody's coming for her neck, but you know what? They always say, and I say this all the time to my team at my job. If you're not at the top, then nobody's coming for you to bring you down. If somebody's bringing you down, you're somewhere at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? Keep coming for her. She gonna have her moment, and you know.
And I hope she gets everything that she needs from it. Like,
And I hope she
she's
doesn't
even,
die
like,
out.
She's even really said like when approached about like supposed Nicki beefs or whatever, or beefs with other female rappers, she's been like, I'm not trying to be queen. I'm trying to put out poppin' music and make money. And
Well,
that's
and-
literally what she's doing.
Well, and that's the fascinating thing too about her is because like she was the cover story of Rolling Stone last month or somewhat recently, and a lot of the article was dealing about like how is she dealing with her newfound fame, because it was one thing when like she had her Instagram followers and she had all that stuff going on, and so she had her people. But now she's become this phenomenon. She's become this big thing, and now the expectations are up the wall. People, people hate her. People love her. People want to do. They want to say, like, what is she gonna do now? Oh, this bar was whack. This was. There's so much more attention to it, and now all of a sudden this went from like this fun thing to like now like, oh, there's so much. And so now she's in this weird spot where she's like, listen, like, I'm just trying to like have fun, do me. Like, she doesn't have this big plan or aspiration, like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's interesting to see, what she does from here out, because the eye and the attention is definitely on her, so she has to produce. But it'll be interesting to see like what happens, because I feel like even for her, she doesn't really know.
Yeah,
she's in a conflicted.
Well, I feel
space.
like she's made a huge thing being like the female trap rap artist, like, because most of her songs are like trap music or whatever.
And that's smart. That singles her out.
Which is cool.
She's the trap.
But when trap doesn't work anymore, what's
going to happen to her? That's why it's important that she's on songs like Finesse. That's why she needs to be on songs like Finesse.
Like, how is her song going to change, and how is she going to then,
Well, I feel like Nicki's been a good blueprint for that too, because she always finds ways to stay relevant, even when she kind of... So there is a way to kind of keep yourself out there as long as you're adaptive, but we don't really know. We'll see what happens with her.
And so like overall the point is, so like I was saying, like we accept mediocre from white people, and I'm done accepting mediocre from white people, letting them come into our spaces, have their little hits, make their little money, and then jump out. And then they're jumping out of hip hop automatically ties down the behaviors of being wild and whatever and untamed to being black. And then that reinforces the stereotypes that exist about black people being wild and untamed and blah, blah, blah. And that's the bullshit that we need to cut out. But I will say this, and a lot of people might not agree, I don't feel like Justin Timberlake at any moment has done anything that has made me feel like he's saying black people are this and now I'm going to be less black, and thus now that I'm less black, I'm better. I don't think that he's saying he's better. I think even in that little Kmart commercial looking at that he has, that what he's saying is
for like Lee Dungaroos.
It's really to me like I'm older now and I need to stay relevant, and what am I going to give to my fans that I haven't already given them? I'm going to give them more personal life and blah 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 blah. And he is from fucking Tennessee, and you know what? It wouldn't be right if he was like, oh, this new album where I'm going to talk about my personal life. If it had mad like hip hop heavy tones, I'd be like, the fuck is this shit? You know what I mean? I'd rather have him walking through the fucking forest.
I think it's the it's how society looks at the culture. It's how society looks at hip hop, and that's that sort of thing. And like, it's fun and all when somebody else dips into it because they're like, oh, this is fun, like this is a good old time, whatever. But then it comes with a negative connotation, which isn't really fair. And then you have like, there's the Post Malone situation.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
That's another dude where he's walking around talking about like, he doesn't like hip hop or don't listen to hip hop, but yet you're making these songs, and also like, you look busted, son. Like, can we talk about how Post Malone's face is just like
he
rough.
looked real busted. You know what else looks rough? This is completely unrelated. Yo, LeBron James' hairline is a lot. Can we
worse
just do
like
a lot worse than
can we just go on a tangent here and just talk about celebrities that look just busted?
I was just like, whoa.
Like, but tell me, when you heard White Iverson for the first time, like, you were bumping, and then you saw this dude's face, and you were like, what?
When I saw him, I was
fuck?
like, I wasn't even like, what the fuck? I was like, of course this nigga looked like that. I literally was like, of course this is what this guy looks like. It was weird to me, There's a lot of hurt looking. Anyway, right? But yes.
Sorry, America.
Post Malone is another one. Like, some people argue that Pink is one, like,
really,
because when she first came out, she was real soulful and
so
like.
In that, all right, there's a video online that's like literally talking about Justin Timberlake going back to his roots, and they mention Pink in the video about how she had a very heavy R&B influence in her first album, and then went on to become a queen of rock or whatever. My thing about it is, when she came out, she was under L.A. Reid. And I feel like it's literally a point of, this man did not know how to produce anything other than R&B influenced music. You know what I mean?
And she had the voice for it too.
And she had the voice for it, and it worked for her at the time. But it wasn't what she wanted to do. And it's a known fact that when you go into the music industry, you have no control over what your first album is.
Right.
And that's why the second album is always that kind of like, what are they going to do? Because they have more control over it.
But my thing too is, and this is what we have to decide as a generation, as a society, because now we're getting into these issues and we're talking about, appropriation and stuff like that. But like, if we're going to go all the way back into somebody's past, like Pink, who like I would never really associate with, cultural appropriation. And okay, if they have a point, like that's fine. Or they have, you know, obviously they're not going to come at us with nothing. They have facts and whatever. But the thing is like, you know, rock and roll is a cultural appropriation of black music.
Yep.
Like the Rolling Stones have said it straight up that like, you know, they took black music and then they just played it and it got huge. So like it's hard, like where, you know what I'm saying? Like we have to look at the whole picture and it's like, all right, well, a lot of things are culturally appropriated. And in the same way, like it's similar to dance. Like dance has a struggle where like everyone's like, oh, well, you stole this choreography from somebody else or you stole this idea. And it's like, well, at what point do what things become original, or what point are, you know what I mean? Like everyone steals from something. Everyone. So it, again, like it's that weird line. We have to decide like where is it inappropriate that this inappropriation, like when is it blatant and when is it exploitative? Like I feel like that's really the thing, you know? When is it exploitative of another people's culture or another people's, you know, celebrations or history or that? It's hard to sit here and be like, oh, well, you know, this person was exploited. Like, I don't know. It's a fine line that we have to figure out, because I feel like now that we're in this space where we're calling people out on a myriad of issues, these issues are very complex. We have to figure out like what are the lines? Like, what are we, you know, it's more complicated. Like everyone just tries to like blame people nowadays. And I'm like, well, but then how far back does this go?
And when do we allow the artist that room to say, yes, I am influenced by this genre and I wanted to dabble in it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Because now
when is that okay? Yeah.
Right.
But now it's like, oh, you can't do that. And it's like, well,
know,
like
if I have a hip hop song but it has a black rapper in it, that's when it's okay then.
Right.
It's like
right.
stuff like that. Like
I just think it's about showing up. If you want to participate, whatever, and then when it really counts for the community, you're willing to show up, then that's when it matters. Because people always want to separate the line of politics and art, and the reality is that a lot of black art at its root, it has always been a response to society and what's going on at the time. You know, anywhere from, you know, fuck the police, any Negro spirituals.
Yeah, slaves not like.
You know what I mean? Like everything has been a response because we've always had to respond to something because we're people of color in this country and everybody's always coming for us. So even when we don't want to involve politics is involved in what the fuck we do. So when you come in and you're trying to do what we do, but the politics is not tied, it's kind of like, how privileged of you to not have to tie the politics to what you're doing. You could just come in here, make music, and then say you want to be born again or whatever the fuck, and then walk away. And you don't have to walk away with the politics. Any moment that a black artist doesn't feel like doing that type of art anymore and they want to walk into the world and be themselves, they're still a black person in the world, or a Latino in the world, or an Asian in the world. Like they're still having to be who they are, and you don't have to do that. And so put a little fucking respect on my melanin. You know what I mean? And understand that that's Birdman. The truth, you know? Like, no, but understand that that's the truth of the conversation. Even like black people, when black people want to walk away and they don't want to be associated with the politics, it's like, I know you don't want to, but you know, this is what you're looked at and this is how you're going to get treated. So you might not want to acknowledge it, but there's, you know, people, and the internet will always let you know what the world thinks. There's always people really ready and willing to call you a monkey and call you whatever the fuck. Whether you care about it or not is one thing, but it's a problem that it's even happening. And that is why we have to address it, whether you care or not. And maybe you don't need to participate, but it's part of the problem. If you're a white person, you're in our space, Justin Timberlake, when shit happens to black people, you need to care about it to a degree. You need to participate and
apologize to Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson's legacy matters.
She was about it. No.
Honestly, like, there's just so much, but I thought it was worth noting, and this is like an ongoing conversation, because God knows we're just waiting for the next person to decide that they want to jump into hip hop and then jump out, and it's gonna happen again. I just don't know who. I will say this though, in honor of Juan, I'm so glad that Britney didn't do it, because Slave for You came out and that was airing on the side of hip hop. She could have gone into this whole hip hop wheel and appropriated and done, and she did not. She did not. I've always respected that about Britney Spears. And Slave for You is my favorite Britney Spears song because of the hip hop undertones. But like, I really respect that about her, that she's never done that. The big smile on Skittles.